for 2 weeks while my parents vacationed in Europe that summer. My younger brother had gone with them, but I'd stayed behind because of my job at the hospital. The timing seemed perfect to finally sell my dad's vintage comic book collection that had been gathering dust in the basement. He'd been talking about selling it for years, but never got around to it. I figured if I listed it while they were gone, made the sale, and surprised them with the cash when they got back, they'd be thrilled. The collection was worth at least $800 based on what I'd researched online. I listed it on Facebook Marketplace for $650, hoping for a quick sale. Within hours, an interested shopper named Sabrina Lee reached out to me. She said she loved collecting vintages and couldn't wait to add the comics to her collection. She offered me $600 cash. I should have been more suspicious, but I was excited about the sale. I told her to come by around 7. Sabrina didn't show up. When I asked her, she cited work reasons and rescheduled the pickup to 8, then to 9. Each time, she'd apologize and say she was almost there. She insisted she was only 15 minutes away and had driven for over an hour to get to me. She really didn't want to waste the trip. Against my better judgment, I'd agreed to wait till 10:30. At 10:47, she finally messaged me saying she'd arrived. I looked out the front window and saw a beat-up sedan parked at the curb. The interior light came on, and I watched as 4 people got out, a woman and 3 men, all in their 20s. I messaged asking if she brought friends. She didn't answer. They walked up the driveway. I kept the screen door locked and opened the main door just a crack. The woman, presumably Sabrina, smiled and asked if I was David. I confirmed, but I said I hadn't expected her to bring other people. She made up stuff about the guys being her brothers, and the late night, and that they'd wait outside. She tried really hard to get me to open the door. I didn't. I could tell she was annoyed. Suddenly, she started pulling on the screen door handle, asking what the problem was. The 3 guys behind her moved closer. I shut the main door and locked it, wishing they'd get the hint and leave. They didn't. Instead, they started yelling at me about wasting their time, demanding I open the door. One of the guys started pounding on it, shouting obscenities while his friends laughed. I moved away from the door and watched through the dining room window as they stood on the porch for nearly 15 minutes, knocking periodically and talking among themselves. From my brother's upstairs bedroom, I could see the driveway below. One of the guys was urinating on the concrete, right next to my mom's flower bed. They were making no effort to hide what they were doing. Eventually, they left, got back in the car, and drove off slowly, like they weren't in any hurry. I deleted the listing immediately and blocked the account. I didn't call 911 because I thought it was done and dusted. Around 2 in the morning, I heard glass breaking downstairs. I was out of bed instantly. I grabbed my phone and hid in the closet. I could hear multiple footsteps downstairs, sounds of cabinets and drawers opening. I dialed 911 and told the dispatcher about these intruders. She told me to stay on the line, stay quiet, that officers were on the way. The footsteps came upstairs. I could hear them going through my parents' bedroom, my brother's room. One of them tried my door handle and found it locked. Someone kicked it. Once, twice. The frame splintered but held. Then they moved on and continued down the hall. The dispatcher kept asking if I was okay. I couldn't respond, just kept the phone pressed to my ear. After what felt like hours, but was probably less than 5 minutes, I heard them go back downstairs. The back door slammed. The police arrived about 8 minutes after I'd called. Found the kitchen window completely shattered with glass all over the floor. The back door had been forced open from the inside. They took my dad's laptop, my mom's jewelry box, cash from my brother's room, and some of my gaming equipment. The total value was probably over $3,000. The officer taking my report asked if I knew who might have done this. I showed him the Facebook messages and explained what had happened earlier that evening. He said I should have called them the first time, when the group showed up. Said that this was clearly a setup. They'd come to scope out the house, see who was home, and check the layout. I gave my statement to the detectives the next day, embellished a bit, and said one of the guys had threatened me through the door. I figured it would have made them take it more seriously. They did. Got a warrant for the Facebook account data and tracked down the IP address. Sabrina, the real name Tiffany Marsh, lived 2 towns over with a record for theft and drug possession. The warrant on her apartment recovered most of what had been stolen from my parents' house. She gave up the three guys immediately, trying to cut a deal. All four were charged with burglary, conspiracy, and trespassing. Most of the stolen items were returned before my parents got home. I had to tell them what had happened, obviously. They were furious, not about the break-in itself, but that I'd put their house at risk by trying to sell something without asking. My dad was actually relieved the comics were safe. They installed a security system the following week. Cameras, motion sensors, the works. I moved out 6 months later and got my own place across town. But I still think about it sometimes, about how my stupidity could have cost me more than a burglary. I don't use Facebook Marketplace